Hello everyone, welcome back to another weekly update. Let's just get right back into this because I've got a lot to talk about. Actually, before we even get in, one thing that I can talk about straight away is I've optimized my ability registration. So previously I had the player register their own abilities to the ability system, and every single enemy do the same thing, and many of the enemies and players share the same ability type, projectile or area of denial and something like that. So it was really redundant for everyone to be registering the same ability type. So what I did is I made a mono behavior that just registers all abilities at the same time at the title screen. So that's fun. I've also adjusted the spawn locations of some of these guys, and if you notice something there, they also need line of sight before they even start firing at me. And these now have physics, and they're a little bit buggy right now. I need to mess with the colliders to make sure they actually work. I have a little level up animation when I get XP, which is nice. And yeah, so this guy won't fire at me unless he has line of sight here. So I'll wait, and I come out, and then they'll fire at me. Doom, 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 doom. And yeah, I have a lot of spawn points around here. I'll show you in editor. So here are my enemy spawn points. I just created a new mono behavior on this and made this a prefab, so I can just click on it, and if I want a new enemy spawn point, then boom, there it is. And all it does is register itself with the enemy spawner instead of previously I had the enemy spawner with a serialized list of transforms, and I had to drag every single thing in there, and it was just getting annoying having to populate it. So that was a quick and easy fix. I also added an icon, so it's easy to see where my enemies are spawning if I change the change the icons on there. Another fix that I made was that you can't progress through this screen without selecting a class. I did that one too many times, and I was getting really annoyed that I'd load into a scene broken. Yeah, it's a little bit buggy right now, but you cannot select, or you cannot start the game without a class. That's pretty much, I should have had that before, but there we go. Also, on my list right here, next, something to talk about, I made enemies, well, two things to talk about enemies here. They can no longer cast or finish their cast if they die. So let's see, this guy's going to start casting, and I kill him, and he doesn't cast it, right? And unfortunately we did not get the other enemy type, but you'll see that I fixed the y-axis bug on these guys. I already knew what was going on before I made this 3D or third person. I had just hard coded it to be 0, so I changed that up, and now they can actually properly cast here. Another thing I changed was the spawn rate of these guys. They were pretty out of control. I mean, I don't know if I have footage, but I can also maybe show some where by wave 7 it was spawning like 30 enemies, and all I did was just super nerf the spawn rate. So the spawner now has a 1-to-1 resource to spend. So by wave 8 it can only spend 8 resource on the enemies. They have a resource system. These basic enemies are probably like 1 or 2 points, but if there's like a tank or elite enemy, it'll cost 3, 4, 5. Just a different way of balancing the game as I go on and make harder enemies. I started working on the rotation, so if I aim this way and I click, I want to rotate the player to aim and shoot in that direction. I started working on that, but it's a little bit more complicated than I thought, and it's going to take some more time. Probably by next week I'll have that done. But if I do end up finishing that, I want to work on items next. And I sort of started designing the gameplay loop of those items that I want, and also at the same time the architecture, I guess, software side of things. I'm trying to plan ahead. Besides that, I also want a sort of ghost animation for these casters, so you have no idea where this guy's casting, right? Oh dang, they just cast and you're dead pretty much. But I want a circle to show you where they're gonna cast. Same thing with the chill master here. I want to show like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be aiming it right here, and yeah, something. I might have to change a little bit because right now you just push the button and then cast, so I might have to push and then wait for another press to actually cast it. But anyways, that's the majority of my changes for this week. If you're interested in the more technical side of things, I went into a little bit more detail this week in my blog, so make sure to check that out in the description. And if you want even more details, just let me know. I'll try and go into more depth on what I do and the decisions that I make and why I do everything. I try and keep it concise, but my videos end up longer, my blogs end up longer, and yeah, just let me know what you guys think and what you prefer. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.